This group of resources here in the company information box are all resources that are useful for researching companies. So we have Marketline, Factiva, Mergent Online, and Mergent Intellect. We're going to take a look at Marketline, Factiva, and Mergent Online in a bit more in depth. But all of the, these three are really good for finding information about large publicly traded companies. As a rule, when you're doing business research, you tend to find a lot more information about the larger public companies than you do smaller private companies, just by virtue of the fact that the larger public companies, they have to share information, so you just find more. I've included Mergent Intellect here in case you do have to research a smaller private company. It's really the only resource that we have that's probably going to have some information, but what you find is going to vary greatly from company to company. It just depends. A lot of times you're just going to find sort of like directory type information, the company's address, maybe the number of employees, and a lot of information that you might even be able to just find by looking up the company online. But anyway, I just left it in here for the sake of completeness, I guess. We're going to spend more time looking at these three, though. In Marketline, it's pretty easy to find a company report, or they call it a company profile. This is essentially a sort of in-depth, look at the company. It takes the form of like a report. They can be anywhere from 20 to like 100 pages long, depending on the company. And to find it, like I said, it's fairly simple. You're going to type in the name of the company. So, for example, maybe I'm researching Starbucks. So I'm going to type in Starbucks, and then before hitting search here, I want to click in this drop-down area, and then I want to choose company profiles. And you can see there's all sorts of different things I could look for as well. But company profile is what I want, and then I'm going to say search. And then here's where I should be able to find that particular company. This looks like the correct one here at the top, Starbucks Corp. And then here's their sort of report. We're just looking at sort of a summary, the overview page or tear sheet page here. You can also export it up in the upper right-hand corner here. There's this export button that allows you to just export out the entire report, which is what I would suggest you do, but you can also read it online here and just go to different sections. Like if we want to see the profile, which is going to give us a more sort of like in-depth explanation of the company and what it does. You can see options here like their history, key locations, things like that. There's an option for financials, but I actually would encourage you to look in Mergent Online for their financials. That's another resource that's good for researching companies. We can look up news, peers. So if we click on this, it's going to bring up a list of like peer companies or like competitors. So this is a place that we can use to get an idea of who some of their competitors are, or at least who the analysts at Marketline think their competitors are. It just depends on, analysts' opinions are going to sort of change from report to report. And then another really nice thing is they do offer this nice SWOT analysis of the company. So they break down something I'm sure you're all familiar with being business students, but strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so that's a really nice thing to have access to here inside of Marketline. Mergent is a useful resource for researching companies, especially again if they're big publicly traded companies. They'll have a lot of information inside of Mergent. It's a straightforward search like we've seen with a lot of these other resources. We're just going to go to the search box here on the left-hand side and type in the company's name or their stock ticker. Use Starbucks as my example, SBucks. Go here. And at first it might not look like there's a lot of information. I mean, we get this summary information here across the top. Just incidentally, this is one place where you can find what industry codes have been assigned to this particular company in terms of their SIC here, or they give the NAICS codes here. If that's something that you need, this is a place that has that information for you. But the meat of the report is just contained in these tabs. So you see there's these various tabs, and then each tab sort of has some sub items. So just in the company details, we can see this synopsis page here, but there's also a highlight section and a history that can give you a pretty in-depth history about the company and whatnot. Just like I've been showing with all these sort of resources, a lot of this is just on you to get in here and explore and see what kind of information is available. But I would like to highlight, the financials. This is probably where I would come to get the company's financial information. I just like this interface. So it's giving us, it's totally customizable. This may be why I like it. So we can see we have like their annuals. I can choose which financial statement I want. So currently, I'm looking at balance sheet. Balance sheet's gonna be the last 5 years. I can change that to the last 10 or all the years available, and I can even change some other things. And then once I refresh that, now it's giving me all of this information. Essentially their balance sheet information for all the years that they have available. And once anything that I create here, I can then download as a spreadsheet via this download link. So I like to do that. I get in here, set the display up the way I want it, and then just download that as a spreadsheet. So I have that. Another nice feature is the competitors area. A lot of people like to come here to get their list of competitors, mostly because it gives quite a few. And you can add your own companies to the list if you've identified companies that aren't showing up here and you want them in this list. And then once, again, similar to like the financials, whatever you have created and displayed here, you can then download that as a spreadsheet. So it's just a nice way to generate that list of competitors and then download that so that you have it and can use it. And then they also have links to their annual reports, like their 10Ks and other filings that they might do. You have quick access to these. Although I do realize you can find that in plenty of other places as well. But yeah, that's Mergent. Pretty straightforward.